Hey, what's up guys? Welcome to the first JavaScript tutorial series for iCode Easy. Now, I want to start by saying that JavaScript is an object-oriented scripting language. And this means that almost all of the variables that we're going to work with are in fact objects. And these objects have properties and methods. And in this first tutorial, we're going to see some of the main objects in JavaScript and some of their methods and properties. So to start, let's set up our document structure. I have a root directory here called YouTube.js series. I have my index file in here. Now let's create a JS folder. Let's create an images folder because we're gonna need it later. Images. A CSS folder. And I think that's it for now. So into our text editor, I'm using Sublime text. You can use Bluefish, Notepad, Notepad++, TextMate, or whatever you want. So let's create a new file. Let's save it into our JS folder. I'm gonna save it as script.js. So in here we're going to see three main objects that are very useful in JavaScript. One is a string object. We have the document object and the window object. Now to create a string object, you just type var, the name of the object, in this case name, and I'm going to set it equal to Christopher Wallace. Okay, one property that this object has is the length, and I'm going to save its length in a variable called length. So I'm going to type the name of the object, in this case name. Now I'm going to type length. Okay, for testing and debugging purposes, we're going to see another object, and that's console. And we're going to see a method, that's the log method. This object and its method called log, it's basically to print out something to the console, to print out some text to the console. Like for example, test. I'm using Chrome as my browser. You can use Internet Explorer or Mozilla Firefox. I recommend you using Chrome. I think Chrome is the best browser. I don't know what's wrong with the people who's using Internet Explorer, but oh well. So in Chrome, let's refresh the page and right click and select inspect element, or if you're using Windows, Ctrl Shift C to open up the console. You select console and there's nothing there because we first need to link our JavaScript file to our HTML document, and we do this by typing the script tag. Type script type equals to text JavaScript, and source, starting from our root directory, it's JS script.js, and then we type our ending tag script. You can refresh, see test. So now that we know how to use the console, let's output our length. Type length, and we use the concatenation operator, that's the plus sign, and we type length. There we go. Length equals 19. Let's also print out our string object. Its name. There we go. So that's one property that the string object has. We're also going to see some methods. So let's print out methods. The first method that we're going to see is the substring. This method takes two parameters. The first one is where do you want to start extracting the text, because you're gonna get a string out of another string. So you want to start at the index 3, and then you want to stop at index 10, for example. That's the second parameter. So the result of this is name, that's substring 3 all the way to 10. There's another way to do this, and that's just type in one parameter, and what this is gonna do is it's gonna start at index 3 and it's gonna go all the way to the end. Like for example, substring 3. You're gonna see the difference right here. You see, this one takes from the third character all the way to the 10th. This one takes from the third character all the way to the end. So that's the main difference. Another method is the to uppercase. Now this one is self-explanatory. What it does is just turns all the letters uppercase to uppercase. Now we don't need to see this one. The third method that we're gonna see is replace, and this one takes two parameters. The first one is what string you're looking for to replace. Christopher, and I'm gonna replace it with Alicia. So let's see that. Name that replace Christopher. The second parameter is Alicia. Save it. See, Alicia Wallace. Okay, now let's continue with the document object. The first method that we're going to see is the first of all, this is the document object. Document. The first method that we're going to see is the event listener. This one takes three parameters. The first one is what event you're going to listen to. Like for example, click, on load, on change, key press, and all those type of events. So right here we're going to listen to click. Second parameter is what function do you want to call whenever this event happens. I'm going to create an anonymous function, and this one's just going to alert some text. Click. Alright, the third parameter is a boolean, and we're not going to go into deep detail, but basically when you're listening to an event, the event goes through two phases. The first one is the capturing, and then the bubbling. And basically what this third parameter is going to do is, so the true or false, is if you want the bubbling phase to occur. So in this case, it's going to be false. I'm going to make a video explaining the whole add event listener method, but for now just type false. Alright, so if this is working. You're going to click on the document. See it clicked. Alright, so it's working. Another method is the document dot create element, and this one takes one parameter. It's what element do you want to create. It could be a div tag, a paragraph, an anchor tag, or wherever you want. In this case, I'm going to type a div, and I'm going to store this div into a variable so we can use it in the future. Alright, so that's one. Another one is get element by ID. Get element by ID. And you need to have an element first. You see how I created a div tag and I stored it in the variable div. So let's use this div and set an attribute to this div. That's one method that this div has. And then you wanna set an attribute of ID. Set it equal to, I don't know, div tag. So right here on the get element by ID, you're gonna type div tag to get this element by its ID. And now you're gonna store this element in a variable, and I'm gonna call it div1. So as you can see, this div and div1 is basically the same element. Okay, so that's two methods that we're going to see right now for the document object. And now we're going to see some properties. The first one is the URL. And let's print this out. Console.log. You want to print the URL of this document. You type document.url. And then you can also see the title of the document by typing document.title. Let's go to the console. See the URL and the title, JavaScript tutorial. Another property that we have is we can access the images and the anchors through JavaScript. But to do this, we need to have some images. So let's create some images. Source. Now we have no images in our images folder. So what we can do is grab some images and put them into our images folder. So let's do that. Alright, so now that we have some images, let's put them into our document, into our HTML document. Cars, images, car1, JPEG, car2, and car3. By the way, let's also create some anchor tags to see the next example. Home. Stuff. Let's go back to our JavaScript file.